Giovanni Auditore, you and your accomplices stand accused of the crime of treason. Have you any evidence to counter this charge?
Yes, the documents that were delivered to you last night.
I'm afraid I know nothing of these documents.
He's lying!
Need to get closer.
In the absence of any compelling evidence to the contrary, I am bound to pronounce you guilty. You and your collaborators are hereby sentenced to death.
You are the traitor, Roberto, and one of them. You may take our lives this day, but we will have yours in return, I swear! We will! Father!
There! Grab the boy! He's one of them!
I'll kill you for what you've done!
Guards! Arrest him! Abatete. Better run, boy. And fast.
What's good, everyone? Today I just decided, and I really felt like just making a an ideal Assassin's Creed title video, and I wanted to just talk about exactly what I would want in the new Assassin's Creed. And I want to start off saying that, and I know that Ubisoft would probably not listen, right? And they obviously wouldn't be in the game, and there's obviously a lot of reasons why it wouldn't be. But if you want to know about those reasons, I do state some of them in my other video, which is titled "How to Save Assassin's Creed." So after this, you could check it out and tell me what you think about it. But yeah, I know that Ubisoft isn't gonna listen. So if you are watching this, just please know that I understand that some of these things or all of these things will not be in the game. But anyways, I'm gonna start off my little wish list and take it from there. So first, we're gonna start off, or I don't know, I'm gonna start off saying how the game should be brought in with the engine and movements and ambient sounds and interactions, social stuff, things like that, right? So the first thing that I would want in any Assassin's Creed game, it has to be ambient sounds, right? If you do not know what those are, then chances are you probably never played Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood, even Assassin's Creed 1, the whole Ezio trilogy, and a lot of Assassin's Creed games. Because let's say in Assassin's Creed 2, right, when you're walking through a certain town, whether it be Venice, Florence, Romagna, right, or Forlì, whatever it's called, all those places, the villa, right, when you're walking through, there's a certain song or a tone that sets within the city, especially in Assassin's Creed 1. When you're walking through the streets of Acre or Damascus, right, there's a certain mood change every time you walk into a new city. But when you go into other games such as let's say Watch Dogs or Assassin's Creed Odyssey, when you're walking through the town, it's pure silence. It's like dead, but there's a lot of people around, there's things going on, but the sound is not there. It's like white noise, and we cannot go with that again in the next Assassin's Creed. That should be something that is a given. That should be one of the main, not the main priorities, but a huge priority on the top list. It increases immersion, and I'm sure a lot of you know what that is, immersion, right? You definitely want that when you're playing the game. You want to feel like you are the character. You want to feel like you're walking through just like the character is. You want to feel like they're the character. Like when you play other games as well, like when you play Batman, it's very immersive, right? You have in your ear, you have civilians and thugs talking, and civilians calling for help, or thugs clowning Batman, right? When they're talking to their friends, they're talking about Batman behind his back, right? You feel that immersion when you're flying around. There's music playing and just ambient sounds. Another one would have to be seamless interiors, right? If you don't know what those are, seamless interiors are when you're in the open world and you go into a certain building or establishment or a door that you have to go through, and it enters a building or something like that, when you open the door, there is no loading screen. It's just you open the door and you go in, right? That also adds to immersion. So that's it. It's like more of like a category thing. Immersion, ambient sounds, then seamless interiors, right? Seamless. You definitely want to, like I said, you could take that advice from playing, Batman Arkham Knight. Like, there are no loading screens once you get in the game, right? You go into a certain building, Batman just opens the door, he walks in, and you're there. There's no, 5 to 10 second loading screen like most games have now. I don't know why most games have that, right? It amazes me, but I hope that when these next gen consoles come out, there should be no more, excuses, right? Because a lot of games are still having these, 30 FPS caps, which is crazy to me because we were just in 2019 with 30 FPS, and we've had 30 FPS for the past how many years now? I mean, that's crazy, but this is New Year. Consoles coming out this holiday, this year's holiday in December, right? So hopefully, there's 60 FPS and there's no more loading screens, right? So that's also another one. So when you play as whatever character they choose to play as, I'm gonna get into the characters and backstory next. But when you play as a certain character and you go into certain doors, there should be no loading screen. There should just be it's just opening a door. So I never really understood the point of loading screens and just loading in general. I never understood that because, I mean, most games, the best games like Batman, Arkham, and a lot of games just don't have that. And I always wanted to figure out, in my head, I was always like, why is there a loading screen when you're just opening a door or, going down the stairs somewhere? I just wanted to know, but that's, yeah. So that's, another category just right under, immersion, ambient sounds, and seamless. Another thing that falls under immersion, something along the lines of smooth combat, right? Or just smooth and everything, right? Like when you're walking, it's really annoying to see a huge mini map or like a level above your head and health bars and things like that. And a lot of people should, a lot of the developers this year for whatever the new Assassin's Creed is, whether it be Kingdom or Ragnarok, whatever the code name is, definitely trying to take some advice from The Last of Us and The Last of Us 2, from what we saw so far of the second of part 2. And you definitely, want to have that in the next Assassin's Creed to give it a huge shot at being up there at the TGA. If you don't know what that is, the Game Awards, which has been, pretty annual over the past, I think, 5 to 7 years. I'm not sure. But yeah, that, definitely be a big shot in that event next year or 2 years from now. So definitely having just, less on the screen, less HUD on the screen would add tenfold to the immersion. And I think a lot of people don't really think about that, but people who love a story and love to like get deep into the narrative and give everything into the narrative and are willing to develop their character for hours and hours and see how their character, for example, like Ezio, when you're playing Assassin's Creed 2 for the first time, like I can never forget that experience, like going through the motions, like when he's starts off as a teen and then years go by, he becomes vengeful, right? And then Uncle Mario calms him down and teaches him to really step in his father's shoes and realize that his father had something bigger than just being an angry child. He had something bigger to complete. So after that, Ezio got over his anger and took over his father's position as an assassin, right? We know that story. So I mean, things like that, like character development, also adds to the immersion. Having a big level over your head and all these choices and stuff like that. It's like all these HUDs. It's like, if it feels like you're playing, League of Legends or like one of those, games that are just MMOs. Like it just breaks immersion instantly when all these HUDs pop up, right? And I'm sure you guys can agree, but you guys can leave comments. So, damn, we're 8 minutes in. Jesus. So next I'm gonna get into more of like, the meat, right? The story and characters. And I know a lot of people probably don't like what I'm gonna say, but shit, I'm gonna say it anyway. Now this goes back to more the beginning part of the video where I said that Ubisoft is not gonna really do much of these things, I feel like Ubisoft's intent right now is to turn the game into a full-out blown RPG, and of course, not gonna buy it if it happens, right? But it's whatever though. I mean, move on, right? Wait till next year, see what happens, right? If this year's game, if they do drop it this year, which I'm sure they will, if this year's game is a bust and it's a full-out full-blown RPG. Hey, I mean, I guess we'll just wait till next year, right? See what happens. But let's say they do want to save their game and they do want to, have a story. They want to go back to the story. I would say, if anything, since a lot of games are doing that, especially, Call of Duty and Battlefield, right? A lot of these games are revamping, and they're basically, starting at square one, right? And building the story back up with new characters. So for example, I'm gonna say a game like Call of Duty Modern Warfare, right, 2019. It's pretty much a reimagining and a complete, restart of the franchise with addition of new characters and some characters from the actual Modern Warfare trilogy. So, what I think Assassin's Creed should do, which, like I said, yeah, like I'm just being honest, I know Assassin's Creed is gonna do this, but I think this is what they should do. I feel like personally, we should go back to, try and stay within Europe, and if you wanna, if we can go, Greece or Italy, but it doesn't matter. I just feel like we should stay in Europe. But let's say, if we do stay in Europe, let's say for example we go, back to Italy, and we find a character. Well, actually, scratch that. I'm not gonna be that into it because it's gonna be a waste. But let's say we have a character in Europe, or we do this Vikings thing or whatever everybody wants to do. We have a character that is at least in between the age of 14 to 7. This is just the main storyline in the past. I want to definitely talk about modern day. I can tell there probably won't be, and it's better that there won't be modern day, but I still want to touch on that. But I'm just going to touch on the main past storyline. So let's say we have a kid, a teen, who's between the ages of 15 to 18, very young, right? Just getting into adolescence, right? So a character that is charismatic, and they can pop jokes, they have dark humor, funny humor, funny humor, right? Just a character that's like that we can relate to, because a lot of kids play the game. So having a character that's young is definitely more attractive into everybody's eye. You don't want start off as a grown, like usually it depends on how they make it, but most people wouldn't want to start off as older, more developed person. So let's say you start off with like someone in the likes of Ezio, right? Young age, very charismatic, someone that a lot of people can connect to. A lot of people are gonna hate on this person because they're jealous of his personality, maybe of his looks, just etc., right? So you start into this thing, and something happens to that this protagonist that causes him to seek more knowledge and what's actually going on, because at that time when you're in that 15 to 18 years old, right, you're in that little section, right, teenage, like I said, moving into adolescence. You're kind of, most people in that age like me are less woke than others, right? So having this character at that age would set things up nicely, just like how Ezio was ignorant. He didn't know anything about what was going on until his dad told him last second. He climbed up, and his dad told him that they were imprisoned or whatever, and he told him that get the clothing. Short story, yeah, like long story short, just get the clothing, put it on, whatever. Right? So I mean, we know that already. But having a young character that has no idea what's going on, and he has to search into it and be more like learn about the world around him, instead of rushing it where, oh, my dad died, and then, oh, my dad told me to go get his clothing, and then I'm an assassin now, right? Or I'm this and that, right? Like I feel like that's for the past couple years we've been having games like that, or out of nowhere, like the kid just chooses to be an assassin or gets forced into it within the first hour or two of gameplay, right? Stuff like that is it's been pretty rushed and forced anyways. So just a game where the character doesn't have those people around him, like how Ezio had those people guiding him in these places. Like I feel like it should show, you know, more of a darker and deep story that shows hardships in a kid's life who has no idea about the society that is around him, about these assassins and Templars. And I was saying that in a couple of hours within the game, then it would be the perfect time to, like, you know, he meets these people, they kind of, you know, give him information, he searches more into it. Like, just one of those stories where it's like, you know, the player knows, but, you know, the character doesn't pick it up until several hours into the game, right? So that's a lot. That's a lot I definitely said, but hopefully you guys caught that. But, you know, there's definitely more. I want to get into this, you know, I don't know, let me see, modern day most likely, but I want to say a little bit more about that, you know, storyline. And then possibly, depending on what, you know, year they want to, you know, start the story in, they can definitely have some type of references at certain characters from past games, or even returning characters that pop up into the game as a cameo, or just have characters intertwined with this new one. So basically, if you didn't catch it, I'm just going to make it more clear. Let's just say, I'm just going to say it like this. It's like, obviously his name is going to be this, but let's just say, you know, John, right? Let's say 17 years old. You know, he's a kid, his family's around, right? Something happens, you know, right? Something happens, you know, he doesn't know where his family is. Let's just not, you know, kill them off. It's kind of like the writer should definitely drag it out a little bit longer. And the family is hiding something from John, right? And let's say, you know, some years pass by, or this and that, you know, obviously an assassination happens, right? John still doesn't know what's going on, right? We're obviously not going to be playing in the whole 5 years, right? But, you know, there's going to be some time skips and stuff like that. And then, you know, John, you know, goes on into the world by himself because either, you know, he loses most of the people who were surrounding him. And he, like I said, he goes into the world by himself. And, I mean, he just, you know, goes in and just he just searches for more. He like finds more, and it's more of a game where the kid has to really, you know, search for this information, because like I've been saying, in these past games, the information is just given to us, right? Like, oh, that's what I'm trying to say. Like something like in Assassin's Creed 1, where Altair is, you know, stubborn, right? He's young, you know, very stubborn. He has no idea what, you know, nothing is true, everything is permitted. He had no idea what that was. He was always, you know, very stubborn at Al-Mualim, right? He never really respected the whole thing. He just knew that he was, you know, fighting in the crusade, and that's all his mission was in his mind, and he never really came to terms with what this order really means. And then when he, you know, found the apple, that's when he was addicted to it, and he dedicated his whole life to it. So I was thinking something like that, where, you know, this time we have a character that's much younger, in his teens, and he's very ignorant, and he has to search for it, and the information isn't just given. He has to, you know, definitely, it's just more of like a game where you're seeking the knowledge, and the knowledge isn't being fed to you by an elder, if you know what I'm saying. So that's basically what I'm saying. I don't know if you guys caught that, but just one of those games where it's more searching than being, you know, spoon-fed, which is what we've had most of these games, right? Now, if you're still with me, now we're gonna get into, let's say if there is a modern day, which like I said, 100% I doubt it. I doubt there will be a modern day. But let's say there is. This is just my idea. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I highly doubt that this would be in the game. But let's say it is. So modern day, right? My ideal modern day would be to continue right off of where Syndicate cut off, which is where, you know, there was a huge battle between the Assassins and the Templars in, I think, London. I kind of forgot most of it because I haven't played it in a while. But I think it was in London, where it was a real life, you know, modern day fight between, you know, Alsoberg and just, I forgot a lot of that. But Assassins and Templars in real life in London, right? All that stuff happened. So I was thinking that at that point when they were trying to get, you know, the shroud, right? Just continue. I noticed they put a lot of things in the comics, and, you know, I heard about, you know, they killed Juno and this and that, and Desmond's son. So I was thinking, you know, if we can assume control of Desmond's son, right? That's what I was thinking. I think his name is Elijah Miles, I think. But let's say we assume control of Desmond's son, right? And because, obviously trying to get Desmond back into the game, that's, of course, a lot of people want that, but I definitely want to, sway a little bit past that, because that's a very popular opinion. So I was thinking something different where you assume Desmond's son control, my bad, and he's obviously brainwashed by, the captors, right? And the player, obviously know what is right, because, we've been in Assassin all these years, right? You know what is right, but Desmond's son has no idea. He only knows what he's been, taught since he's been, grown up and captured, right? So definitely assume his control, and in the modern day would be, him being, taught by the Templars, and, going through times of abuse, and, being lied to, and just living in that moment, and then eventually, the assassins try and communicate with him, and they find a way to communicate with him. Maybe, for example, let's say it's in modern day New York, right? New York, and we have the assassins, and they're just searching for Templar bases, and they're trying to secretly, how would I say, clear out certain. I'm just saying like basic things. Like there's a lot of things I want to say, but I'm just gonna say like basic, something that's just like corny but simple, right? Let's just say they're patrolling, right? Assassins are patrolling in modern day New York and trying to avoid Templars, but at the same time they're trying to infiltrate and collect data and stuff like that, right? And let's say they do come across someone that looks like Desmond, and they know what Desmond's son looks like, right? So they identify him and they try and communicate with him. And let's say it's a story like that where most of modern day is, you're controlled by Desmond's son, and you don't know what reality is. You just know what you've been brainwashed to know, right? And the assassins are trying to communicate with him, and at one point in the game, they break through with him, and they mention his father. If possibly he's been told about Desmond. I don't think he has been told about his real father. But let's say the assassins mention it to him, and he realizes that, and something, clicks, and, so on and so on. You could tell where I'm going with this, but something deep like that. And I know Ashraf and Darby, I know they're capable of doing these things, but, the corporation is what's holding these writers back from doing what they want to do. Because, making stories like this take more than just, just drop this game every year or whatever. And what Ubisoft is doing is they are trying to drop games every single year, because they're milking these games out, and they're just drying them out. They're using these games as cash cows, and we've known that. They're killing all Ubisoft titles, whether it be the Tom Clancy titles or the Assassin's Creed titles. They're draining everything, right? You're milking every last bit of the passion the writers have, and we know that. And also, let's say in this modern day, and in that modern day New York period, where you can even assume control of multiple people, but not choose to assume control of. Maybe it's more like a game where it just puts you in certain other different people's point of view. Where, let's say, Call of Duty Modern Warfare again, where you play as Alex, or you play as Gaz, right? You switch between them or Karim, Farah Karim, right? You switch through multiple point of views. It could be a thing like that, for example, right? Sean and Rebecca, and then Desmond's son. And you assume control of those three, or even a whole nother like a modern day assassin in New York that is connected to Sean Hastings and Rebecca Crane, right? And William Miles, if he's still around. Just something along those lines of like a deep modern day story that most fans wouldn't expect. Because most fans, if there is a modern day, most fans will expect that, oh yeah, let's just go and find the body for Desmond to come out into. I mean, that would be obviously cheesy. So you want something, maybe you want to do that later on, maybe a couple years when they get the series back in shape and develop the identity it's long awaited for. then you could bring that out and shock value. And but for now, just kind of take it slow, because that's what Assassin's Creed has been needing for a while, which is how we saw Assassin's Creed Origins. Origins was in a good step. It took the right step forward, and then Odyssey was it just, I don't know. I don't even want to talk about that, but Odyssey is just not Assassin's Creed. But like I'm saying, just take those steps in modern day. That's what I would want to see. And I kind of gave more of a blank slate, and I could have definitely been more descriptive. But a lot of things would just be a waste of like words if being that descriptive, because it just probably won't happen anyways. Who knows? Like I said, this video won't matter at all. I can tell Ubisoft would make their next game 100% MMO type or RPG, and make it look like Odyssey on steroids, and I can tell. So I mean, a lot of this won't matter, but it's always fun to speculate and predict and write up your own scripts and stories, and put your ideas to use, right? You don't want to have ideas just bottled up, and you're just ideas are just in your head. You definitely want to like talk about them with people. So that's why decided to just make one of these. So that pretty much covers. This is like more of like a part 1-ish kind of thing, right? Definitely will have more, but we'll be waiting for a while till we see anything at E3 or whatever they plan to announce the next Assassin's Creed or the next PlayStation event, right? So that pretty much covers it. So it's like immersion and a deep story with a charismatic protagonist, and a protagonist that isn't spoon-fed the assassin order down their throat, right? This how would I say, like a more ignorant character that's has the knowledge there, but it's gonna take a whole lot more to find the answers he's looking for, and it'll take most of the hours into the game to it almost serves as like a revamp, where it's like a forget what you've been told, just it's a new game, new characters, right? And it's like the character just goes in, like I was saying, and you can go back, right? Just a character that has no idea what society that maybe his family is a part of, or has no idea what society he's been placed in, being born into whatever family he's been in, right? Like a character who's searching for answers. And then it goes down to modern day, where if they do modern day, I would definitely want to see Sean Hastings, Rebecca Crane, and possibly Desmond Miles, or even his son is William Miles, right? I definitely want to see them return in some way, but I doubt it. But we'll see what happens though. But yeah, that pretty much covers it. So I definitely want you guys to leave some suggestions and leave some comments, feedback, positive, negative feedback, whatever you want to leave it all down in the comments. And I want you guys, if you enjoyed, definitely want to hit that subscribe, because there will be more of these and you don't want to miss them. And there will be live streams soon. I'm getting a PC desktop soon, so I can start streaming with my alert box, donations, subscribers, right? Streamlabs OBS I'll be using. So there will be streams soon, so you definitely want to stay tuned. So that means you definitely want to hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more. Definitely be sure to hit that subscribe button before clicking off this video. And if you want, definitely like this video, because that'll definitely help get this video out there to possibly Ubisoft, but I doubt it, because they don't listen to their fans. But if you guys do want to give it a shot, you could definitely share it out to Ubisoft on Twitter, at them, just tag them and everything, and Instagram, Twitter, right, Reddit, Facebook, anything you want to do. If you want this video to go out to them, you definitely want to like and share. But more importantly, I definitely want you guys to comment, to leave some feedback. But it's been your boy, that's it, and I'm gonna catch you on the next one. Peace out.
Thank God. I've been looking everywhere for you.
I couldn't stop them, Annetta. I tried, I swear. But there were so many guards.
Please, come with me. We need to get you off the streets.
What of my mother and sister?
They're safe. I'll bring you to them.
No. It's too dangerous for us to travel together. Tell me where to go and I'll meet you there.
My sister's house. Just north of the Duomo.
I'm on my way.